you have her with a horse? You have that one. The heir to the throne. Why are we looking at this? These guys have influenced the whole world. And God allowed them to do so. Why? It's the kingdom. Yevateka kumapu. Without the kingdom, they couldn't be up. Chiyamba gwe. Ozadea ngamba bichi wasoma oluzungu. Bano bebaluleta si jajjawo. The heir to the throne. Oh, you know kumanya lwaki are we influenced this much that we can't tetwetegerera. Bano ekintu bakivamu. Tata wo yakuzaala na influencing oluzungu lwo tata wo teyasoma. Oluzungu mpulira agamba wizi zaati weya ebintu bya tata wa agatabigate kati tata wa ina okutwala in a good school nga teacher pronunciation bwa omwana amutwala mu ssomero nga ne teacher pronunciation ye ya wizi zaati hau weya nga teacher agatabigate n'akaana kagenda afubutukamu eri essomero muzadde wetandikire ku mwana gamba omwana ayogera owulire engeri gya pronouncing ebigambo oyo mwana talina okwogera mu bantu tabisobola kyokka taata we bw'avaayo alinga ka chatterbox kyokka mutabani wabeera bw'atibuza buuza kiki omwana lwaki asirise nnyo omwana tasobola nze we twabeereka my dad thought I cannot talk yandeeteranga omwana wa so taata we yazannyanga omupiira to a bigger level abaana ba twabeeranga ku same village omwana nga amanyi mathematics taata yamundeeteranga mwana wa mukwano gwe ku kyalo bwe baazannyanga omupiira omuvubuka oli n'ansomesa yajjanga n'ansomesa nga mba soogera one time omuvubuka n'ambuuza course taata alabika oba yamugamba tomusomesa busomesa let her you interact course taata knew how those things work naye n'ayagala omwana alina ku degree akwate muwala we ne taata yatwesomesezanga munnange taata nanti awa ekitiibwa abaana b'abalala n'agamba ono omwana alina what it takes to help my daughter go to the next level and in that family era mwavaamu omwana yayambanga ku baana ba mwami Ssenyondo bwe bityo bwe bibeera ng'olina mukwano gw'omuwa ekitiibwa nogano mukwano gwange alina omwana alimu asusumuseemu mumuwe opportunity ayamba abaana bo wekibeera taata nansanganga I'm answering back my dad was surprised nangamba Esther you can speak good English I looked at my dad nali ngenda mubuuza fees owaayo zaaki nze nabeera nga nsirise bannange my auntie asked me this year nangamba Esther what happened I'm known for being silent. Namusekerera nali ngenda muddamu Jesus happened. Lwaki kubanga bo bakula ne omuntu atayogera kubanga bakula ne Solome nakimera luwama. Bazaala ne bakuza kasita omukyala yampa amannya n'awamba. They've worked with her. Bamuziika yes. Naye n'akola soul invader. Ne tutambula naye for 31 years. When nyingira America, I entered America when I'm 31. Kati September, October, November, December. I'm going to look for the email to confirm the dates. I was taken to see J. Bartlett. If I did not see him in 2016, I saw him in 2017, but I was 32. J. Bartlett. Yalaba munene w'abanene naye nga tamumanya yalaba mukazi mukadde. J. Bartlett yalaba kabejja. E Uganda mwali temusobola kulaba kabejja. Tosobola olina okuba nga oli ku level ndala. Katonda ebyo byakola. Mwenna muli mu deliverance naye eriyo abali ku deliverance nga level ye si yeeyiyo sagala olwane ebintu si bya competition. Kiriza ka level k'oliko. Weereza mukama kweyo level ebintu si bya competition. Oli J. Bartlett tomumanyi. Kati ogenda kusanga nga ate Derek Prince tasobola J. Bartlett anti mwagala ebintu bya rankasi je Bartlett they nga bwolaba nti we hire a cook ayina okusasula najja mu nju yo kubanga alinnye ennyonyi from different countries n'ava mu state eno n'agenda eno twagenda Baltimore. We did not pay any money naye abamuleeta because it's a ministry. Obulamu bwe yabuwa Katonda alina omukyala n'abaana naye atambula. We did not pay to be prayed for. We paid for our money, for our train. We took Amtrak to Baltimore. Baltimore is in Maryland, but it's huge. Maryland is huge. He cannot come to Virginia. Virginia. Omunene eriyo omunene agifuga. Tayagala. Spiritual cover eri mu Virginia. Katonda alina okubanga kuwadde Virginia, my friend. Ate Virginia asemberedde Washington DC. Tomala gasalimbirayo. Maryland asemberedde Washington DC. Omuli White House, the Monument, Capitol House. Tomala gazungirayo mbu walokoka. Katonda alina omukuwa. Nali in Lawrenceville nga bangobye. 1 week and 3 days. Omukyala nakera ku makya n'angamba senga we yakuzeemu. Awo we namanyira nti Esther gyawunye. Nze nava ku mmeeza nga njagala kaaba. Ng'akaana kaabwe kasabye nze nayigiriza nno omwana okusaba baali babyomberamu. Ne mbagamba, it's an honor to pray, don't fight. Ndeeta olugenzigenzi n'olumanyo. Nali njigiriza abaana okwala obulyo omukazi n'angamba togamba nga abaana bange okukola ekintu kyonna. Ekyo akingamba yansanga nga ngamba omwana ajja ebintu mu washing machine. N'angamba yeka yagamba ku baana be. In my mind, I'm like, why am I in the house when you're not home? Omukyala yandaga nti ye mukyala mu nnyumba ye maama. Nengamba Esther toleeta wano olumanyo olukwasa emmwa mmanyo. Nangamba siddamu gamba ku baana be. I joke around. Bwe nali e Uganda bansaba politely. Ne bamugamba mutabani wawe, tell your friend. Waba afunye visa ye, ajja atulelere ku mwana. Kasita oyingira, bw'oba eri bweru, bakweguya bw'oyingira ofuuka kisaaniiko. Kati sister w'omukyala n'alowooza batwala maid. Originally, I was going to California, to Ivan Mwanja's place. Because I tried to contact a few people, bampeku address ne banneeragirako. Nga tebaddamu messages zange. Nengamba Esther. Nensaba amasimu ga some of my family members. Their family members ne bagaganira nga nze Jojoe. Don't joke around. Nasaba mu nju ya Luwama ne baginnyima. Nensaba mu ya Kigozi ne baginnyima. Don't joke. Oleeta olugezigezi nga afe banene kati. Ne mbatunuulira ne ngamba. Singa Nakimera. Singa Luwalala yagaana. Simanyi oba mwandibadde muzaalibwa. Let me rub it in. Nengamba it is fine. Nensirika. Nengamba ninayo Opio wange owakabi. Ivan Mwanja n'akikwatamu. Ivan Mwanja togoba level kwali. Nali mu nju. Nga baŋŋambye tujja kugenda mu Amerika kubanga oganya okukola kye tugamba okujja nfumbirwa abantu abo besimanyi. Anti olaba sitaani aleeta confusion. Tebamanya nti bakwata ku munene. Nga balowooza nti be batutegerera mu by'okutambula. Okutambula kwange bulijjo kuli mu pipeline. Jjajjange yabeeranga ku nnyonyi. Ekikulowooza samba ogwonnyamba. Mukwano mwali mweyamba nga muyamba njuza mmwe musobole ofuna omukisa. Nze ndi mukisa. I am an immigrant. A source of good to others. I'm not just an immigrant. I was chosen. Katonda yalonda Ibrahimu. Goli immigrant, but you're not chosen. You're not a blessing. I am a blessing, a source of great good to others. And it all started from my grandmother's grandfathers. Basoka ne basima oluzi. Naye nga temuli Yesu. Katonda n'amanya n'agamba bano tetukaayana. Kabejja wesoko omwana w'abendi ku mbaga ye. Katonda ng'akola omukutu. Obugendo sumulula Uganda. Obiddangamu. Katonda kyalonze ne bw'okunama ne bw'okola otya tetufa. Kati njagala okola ebintu nga weebeereramu. Omukisa muli kugwaffe kwe mututte kwe mu spinning. Omanye kati tulina that 360. Otula kuli nekoleeta. Baba nno bayimiridde buyimiriza akantu kekeetooloola. Naye bakiteeka ku social media olowooza be beetooloola. Kati ebyo bwe bulamu bwammwe. Platform kw'oyimiridde siiyo. Weegendereze. Waliyo ejjinja. Bwe ndijjayo ogenda kugwa munda. Naye engeri nti omutima gwange tegujjaayo mayinja gentaddeyo. Ate omukulembeze alina omutima gw'abakulembeze, omutima gw'abasaava nti ejjinja amanzi girayo ki? Lwaki amagulu gennina ga Yesu si za kalibbala. Aga kalibbala baagatema. Naye bali tebasobola kujja mu mutima. Prince Elizabeth enjoyed a rather normal, if sheltered childhood for the first decade of her young life. Then King Edward VIII, her uncle, abducted the throne. Which Princess Elizabeth enjoyed a rather normal, if sheltered, childhood for the first decade of her young life. Then King Edward VIII, her uncle, abducted the throne and altered the course of her life forever. Jajawa Mobi. Kati nange ne wentema. Naye omwana tuwe yakwata entebe enzibe. Agituddeko n'agiraga nti esobola. Lwaki? Omutima gwe gwayingira mu Katonda mwene. We bakuwa entebe enzibe tokuuka mubbi. Nange ne wentema nyumiddwa nnyo ekirasi ya leero. Bannange Yesu abanjagalire kati ne wentema. Mukwano Yesu abanjagalire mwababbi b'ettaka mb'oli heya. Mukwano wabba ettaka ly'omusajja labirira abaana be. Tobba bubbi ttaka. Omuwala yafuna entebe enzibe. Anko we yabba entebe. Ye ne anko we balabika baali ba mukwano nnyo. Weyagiba madamu ne bamuwa entebe. Eyakyusa obulamu bwe bw'agituulako at 25 n'abalaga nti agenda kugivuga. Paka mukama yagambye munnange weebale nnyo weebalire ddala. Lwaki afa mu COVID? Time yono omukyala teyaggwako mu ebyo bye babagamba. Time y'omukyala eno yatandika okubalibwa mu 2020. Abamu bagamba naye nedda abadde mukulu agende. Mukwano, you're supposed to live 120 years. Bwe twayonoona ne tusigaza 120. Lwaki teyatuuseeyo? Esther's family has women who got till 128. Ku saidi ya mama, saidi ya tata, tutuka kwa 104. Eyasooka okufa omukadde yatuuka yeeyo Mwebalisi okeze bemanyi. Mama wa Sengango eyazaala omuwala wa Seboa. 104 in 2004 or 5 because I went to Bari. I was in my second year. She was 104 ng'akyasobola okusoma Bible. Ne tugenda mu kiti. And that is when I first had an encounter with Bebeko's mother. My grandmother, Zala, my mom, she died at 101. My grandmother, my dad's mother, is 104. They can still read the Bible. Jajja kyalaba ntegeera bulungi nnyo. Tasobola kunconfusinga n'abalala. Ayabasa. Naye nange kangende mbalabyeko nnyo. Baby makes 3, the Duke and the Duchess of York, hold their baby daughter Elizabeth Alexandria Mary after her christening in the private chapel at Buckingham Palace. Girls' best friends on the right, Elizabeth plays with her dog, her Cowages in the garden at 145 Piccadilly. In July 1936, the London residence was the young princess's first permanent home until her father became king. Tulikwani ku Elizabeth Alexandria Mary. Elizabeth may not have always been in the direct line of succession for the crown, but one thing's certain, she was born to the queen. Her natural ability to inspire unwavering commitment to the country and ever-reliable dignity under fire through crisis, both public and private, have endeared her to the world. As former UK Prime Minister David Cameron tweeted in 2015, Queen Elizabeth is a rock of stability in a world of constant change, earning admiration for her selfless sense of service and duty. Indeed, it's hard to imagine a time when Elizabeth wasn't the queen. Since ascending to the throne in 1952, she has forged relationships with 14 prime ministers and 12 sitting U.S. presidents. F-O-R-G-E-D, how do you pronounce that? The only U.S. president she has not met in her itinerary is Lyndon B. Johnson, and yet there was a time when she wasn't even expected to become queen. Elizabeth Alexandria Mary was born at 2:40 a.m. by cesarean section in April 21, 1926 in Mayfair. Now, when I was correcting my passport, I was going to be given the wrong birthday by the records personnel in Zambia hospital. What saved my life is that time. He shouted at me at a time I had just gotten a facial paralysis and I could not answer back. What I did was to cry. He shouted at me and I could not answer back because I would not be heard. Then the mistake he makes is to put down a book. And Esther Solome loves reading. I picked the book because I have known 1st November all my life. And you're busy telling me I was born on 31st October. I know what 31st October means. That is Halloween. Do you know what happens on that? Did you know how the spiritual realm is disturbed? And he shouts at me, if you don't want, go. The office is full of people. If you work in a public office, careful with your character that is so rotten and poor. I kept quiet. Everyone looked at me with my disfigured face. I opened the book. I looked at the book. And they had put a line on top of me, my name. And it was at 1 a.m. They put the names of my mother, my weight, the midwife, and my names. I got the book and I stood. I had to look for ways of projecting my voice. I wiped my tears and I asked. When I raised my voice, everyone heard me in the hospital, in that office. I asked him, excuse me, a child. When I do that, just know my nerves are being disturbed. Because I wanted to pronounce the right words. You all use the word Waweru because it was pronounced wrong. Because it comes from a girl with a paralysis of the face. Nimweteka mukomera, just like that. I have each one of you because of that word. That is how God grabbed your hearts. You use the word, all of you. Someone in your family used it. And they put you on the hook. I stretched, stood straight. A child who is born at 1 a.m., what day is that? He grabbed the book. Ngate ye munyivu nnyo n'okunsinga. Went into the office of his supervisor and closed the door. I sat back and waited. In less than 10 minutes, I had my short birth certificate and I left. I paid their 10K and I left. 1 a.m. and I was the first baby on 1st November 1984 in Zambia Hospital. There are other babies below me. I was the first baby on the 1st of November 1984 in Zambia Hospital. My mother pushed me out. It was not a cesarean. And when they told the family, Tefazad, Yaripat, oh! The first child of Prince Albert and his wife Elizabeth, the Duke and the Duchess of York. The princess was third in line for the throne after her yet unmarried uncle. The first child of Prince Albert and his wife Elizabeth, the Duke and the Duchess of York. The princess was third in line for the throne after her yet unmarried uncle, Edward, and her father. Edward was a brother to this girl's father. Okay, for them, tebalinganga efe mu Luganda. I don't call the brothers to my dad uncles. No, I don't call them that. But abazungu bo tebakyawula. The uncle was on her father's side, not her mother's side. Are we clear? Yes, we are clear. But for us, because the kingship comes from her father's side, continue. We have long waited a child to make our happiness complete. Albert wrote after her birth, but her uncle stole the thing. I'll head up here and go back behind and we know who is who, where, when, how. The way I've read for you, Elizabeth number 1. Mubadde munoza mwe babbi. Bano babbi mubako. By experience, batekamu technology. Albert wrote after her birth. Okay. Elizabeth's baby sister Margaret arrived in 1930. The close-knit family dubbed We Four by the Duke was whole. Called Liberty early on, Elizabeth was too difficult for the young princess to pronounce. She was named for her mother, her paternal great-grandmother, Queen Alexandria, and her paternal grandmother, Queen Mary. The queenship came from her paternal grandmother. Basically, the mother to Edward, the father of this girl, is the one that had the kingship. The thing was coming from them. But we can go as far as, and we get to know her paternal grandmothers. We have Queen Alexandria. It came from women for the boys to get it. Then from the boy, a girl gets it. We have it in Buganda, and it's in my lineage. And Buganda has never heard of that. You've never heard of it because it was always covered and killed. I happen to come from a line that has the same thing. Called Lilibet. It's called Lilibet. Early on, Elizabeth was too difficult. Okay, let me read as they've written it. Cold as in calling cold. That's how it's written. Lilibet. Early on, open bracket, Elizabeth. They put her name in quotes. Elizabeth was too difficult for the young princess to pronounce. She was named for her mother, her paternal great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, and her paternal grandmother, Queen Mary, all queen consorts. For that was what was expected of Elizabeth at the time. To marry perhaps into a foreign royal family and become someone's devoted wife and mother. As such, Elizabeth led a fairly carefree existence for the first 10 years of her childhood, enjoying the countryside and the adoration showered upon her by both sets of grandparents. That means her uncle stealing the thing, he was not supposed to have it. It was supposed to be for somebody else, and he stole it. She had an especially close relationship with King George V, whom she lovingly called Grandpa England. Okay, King George had it, but he stole it to give it to her. Meaning it was not supposed to come to her. There was somebody else who was supposed to have it. And he stole it to give it to her. Because they had a special relationship. Listen, she had an especially close relationship with King George V, whom she lovingly called Grandpa England. In fact, it was the king who fostered her lifelong love of horses. British royalty and historical expert Kate Williams revealed in her book, Young Elizabeth. On one occasion, Williams writes, the Archbishop of Canterbury was surprised to see the king pretending to be a horse, shuffling on hands and knees along the floor, while the little princess led him by the beard. Elizabeth also received her first very pony from her grandfather for her 4th birthday, a Shetland she named Peggy. Now, these guys came to Uganda. And when the men entered Buganda and saw the kingship, they knew that they are girls who carry the king's mantle. And it was the reason why, because they knew girls cannot be given an opportunity to sit on the seat, they introduced presidency. Because with presidency, anyone can sit on the seat. That's why it was brought. And that is a reason no one will give you, because no one knows the insight of everything unless the Lord gives you the insight of the kingdom. So for Uganda to get presidency, they found out that we have something like this. And Africa cannot allow a woman to sit on the seat. That is a problem in Africa. Your women are supposed to be in the kitchen. So, for them to bring in presidency, they were helping women to also sit in authority. Baba Yamba. Because girls who carried it in Buganda, most of them were killed. And my lineage survived. Bobo manyiye ebirala lwaki ngojja ngokimbuulira. Kyesikugambye tokinoonya kiveeko tojja kisobola. Olina n'olugambo. The girl who would be queen. Kati byenjogera, my family members tebabimanya, especially spouses to the family. And not everyone in the family had an opportunity to speak to Kabeja. She had trust issues. Because when you carry such a mantle, you don't speak to everyone. They're always isolated to protect her legacy. Now I love my legacy. Why do I tell you the things? We need deliverance as a nation. It is the Lord that brought it. Since it is the Lord that gives it, it is not man, it is God. Man just gives birth to the thing that he does not understand. Help yourself and get these 2 books and you survive a wave. Because when it hits Uganda, people are home, away from home, you also take it, the thingy. You carry a Ugandan blood, you're going to be affected. Get the books and enjoy. Because you're telling me, Byogera Rwakatabo. But see, Bibagamba Ezekiel 33, it will happen on a bigger level. Esther 4:14 will happen in my life and my father and mother. Fe tuviremu awo nedda nkaano. Sigenda kuviiramu awo nga totulabirira. Ekyo kikafuuwe. Njagala tata wange agende nga time ye ne Mukama amugambye ng'eri ofiiso. Saagala agende nga tebiri ofiiso. Owagende. Mukwano owagende. Unofficial. Genda agende. Na yo wange, he has to go official. He paid a price. You don't know what he did. Set your plate. The girl who would be queen. When George IV passed away on January 20th, 1936, not only did Elizabeth lose her beloved grandfather and the nation a king, but the princess's quiet, normal existence was about to come to an end as well. Her silence, because she was silent and doing her own things. Now, when Jaja died, these guys got to find out, because it was somebody else to take it. When Jaja died, documents, her name is appearing. He stole it. He stole his own seat where he's seated and gave it out. Without asking for permission. What he did was illegal. Since he had the power, he did it. And this woman's family never gwa mu kintu. Naye nga tekyali kyabwe. Kitegeeza. Ekyaffe mwakibba physically. Naye tata nga bwe yalokoka ne tukigaza in the spirit kubanga ekyaffe kiri in the blood. Kiri in the DNA, you can't take it out. Oba kituyambye oba tekiyambye omala poteya. Ekisumuluzo nakitukwasa watu. Kati taata buli musajja gwe yavvuunula back in the day. Because tata could not have the resources. Ate tata yayingira mu kanisa omuli obuweereza obutaano nga ye ali mu nnamba 6. Kati tata n'agabirako buli ali mu buweereza obutaano. Buli musajja tata ngo ya interpretinga ne bamugabira ne bamuwa ekisumuluzo. Gary Skinner ne bamuwa. Pastor Robert asooka kujja kabowa. Tata n'aminterpretinga. All he needed was to stand next n'afuna ekisumuluzo kya Uganda. Anti Mukama agamba amagye mubeera 6 n'amuwa. Bw'agenda okuggulawo ekkanisa ne babayita. N'amuggyako ekumbi n'akozesa obuyinza bwe ng'omukadde w'ekkanisa n'agiggula. N'agimuddiza n'atambula n'agenda kubanga omulimu gwe gwali guwedde. Naye kati gw'oyagala obeera awo babakuba ebifaananyi bakuteeke mu history because it's our current lifestyle. Oyo omusajja ye yaggulawo n'ekifaananyi kino ebyaffe tetulekera bantu evidence because initially mu maaso g'abaana b'abantu were not supposed to exist. We work for God, not man. That is why God sent me to Miracle Center Cathedral. Because God was raising a new army. But it needed a girl who has a king's blood to empower leadership on a big scale. I carry the mantle. And trust me, the little time I was there, I empowered people's children the right way. After the king's death, yeah, right. Before the year was out, however, Edward chose to abduct the throne to marry his love, American divorcee. Walai. Today waggulu sibitegedde byensomye. But the princess's quiet, normal existence was about to come to an end as well. After the king's death, his eldest son, who was supposed to get the thing, Edward, was proclaimed sovereign. Full stop. Before the year was out, however, Edward chose to abduct the throne to marry his love. Not abduct, abdicate. So the grandfather of Elizabeth, when he died, his son Edward was to take it. But remember, Elizabeth and her grandfather were tight, and Edward saw that. And Edward is like, I've seen Ijaja loving this girl. Now, Edward. After the king's death, his eldest son, Edward, was proclaimed sovereign. Before the year was out, however, Edward chose to abdicate the throne to marry his love. Edward exchanged his throne for love. To abdicate the throne to marry his love, American divorcee of America, divorcee Wallis Warfield Simpson, a controversy move the British government, the British government, the Church of England, and the public greatly opposed. Marrying an American, you cannot be on the throne. And on top of that, a divorcee. Kugamba America bali eno bewanira bwerere naye. In a radio address announcing his decision on December 11th, 1936, Edward explained, I have found it impossible to carry on the heavy. Today you want to go omanyi nakisomye bubi ekyo ekigambo oluzungu luntawanya munasonyiwa. I read that word. It's not abduct, it's abdicated. He chose love over being a king. Can you choose love and give up your throne? The way I see you. Ngoyagala emyerago. Nkulaba oyagala emyerago. The man gave up the throne to go pursue his love life. Mulaba bino ebintu nambyesiimisa naye singa mumanyi omusaalaba oguliyo. Yesu yekka yayinza okutaasa. In a radio address, so the word is abdicate, not abduct, but abdicated. Like abscond, like you can take it. I have found it impossible to carry on the heavy. To take on the heavy burden of responsibility. Not everyone has... He did not have it in his heart. When a man or woman does not have a heart of a leader, they cannot take on the mantle. Now remember, his father, Edward's father, the grandfather to this lady, used to spend a lot of time with her. They did a lot of things. That man trained his granddaughter in a lovely way. He saw the child growing up and saw a heart of a leader in her. So for Edward to give the throne to her, the Lord wanted it because the Lord had already nurtured her through her grandfather. The Lord had already chose her. Are we together? You have children in the house. You can tell who wants to help others and who does not. Leadership starts in the house. It does not start outside. You don't get it from school. No. It starts in the house. This girl was trained by her own grandfather first. Because he's a man who gave birth to boys, and she happened to be a granddaughter. Heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge the duties of a king, as I would wish to do, without the help and support of a woman I love. Because when you're getting the throne, you need family. They wanted him to get someone he does not love. He believed in love. He could not afford to be with someone he does not love. He chose love over the throne. Because when you are to sit in this seat, you need a man and a woman who are ready to love you, support you, stand by you all the way. When it comes to leadership for a nation, it's not a class monitor issue. For the president of Uganda, the current president of Uganda, to sit on that seat for 36 years, he needed a wife who loves him, who understood him with his shortcomings. He needed a family that can support him. The Lord allowed it. And if you want him to get off that seat, you obey the rules and regulations of the season the Lord is giving us. But if you don't obey, that family is still on the seat. I told you for 60 years. What is going to change? What is going to bring the change if we change? As Muganda, the only time you're getting that seat ever in your life is when you change according to God's rules, not your plan. Uganda belongs to God. You want it, you want the seat, come for me. The very next day, his younger brother Albert became king. The very next day, his younger brother Albert became king, taking the name George II. The sixth, Elizabeth, meanwhile, became heir presumptive at age 10. Who is the father of Elizabeth? Let us continue. The very next day, his younger brother Albert became king, taking the name George VI. Elizabeth, meanwhile, became heir presumptive. Presumptive. To presume, then you put PTIVE at age 10, to prepare for her role as the future Queen Elizabeth, who was homeschooled, focused on constitutional history and law. She also studied religion with the Archbishop of Canterbury and learned French from her governesses, the latter of which has come in handy during royal visits to French-speaking nations and parts of Canada. Princess Auto Mechanic. Then in 1939 came World War II. The King and Queen refused to leave London, remaining at Buckingham Palace while the princesses rode out most of the war at Windsor Castle. Elizabeth gave her first radio address during this time, reassuring the children of the Commonwealth, many of whom had evicted from their homes and separated from their families, that everything would be okay. We know. So, the eldest child takes the throne as per for them. So how Elizabeth gets the seat, her uncle gave it up for love and gave it to Albert. And Albert was the king and trained his own daughter to take a notch higher. That means, did Edward have children with his first marriage? You can go and read the details. Because if he had children, why would they give it to this one? That means his children were not considered in line. Because for them, they have a thing, the first, the second, the third. It starts with all the children. In her line, Charles's house has the numbers. Charles is 1, William is 2. Then his children is 3, 4, 5, depending on the numbers he has. Then Harry is considered next. Then from Harry, Charles's sister was jumped. They give it to the boys. That's why in Buganda, you only know men. But this people's family changed the odds. When Edward gave it up for love. Because the first daughter of Albert, the first child of Albert was a girl. So they changed the odds. Depending on if your first child is a boy or a girl. In England, even girls can sit. It was allowed. In Buganda, it is not allowed. They will concoct things and do Jacobo style, and they give birth to a boy. You moved with your mouth. The king yayenda, kiti, king te yayenda, nange mtuleke. King te yayenda. the wife of the king, omukyalo w'empeta talina mwana mulenzi. And we know it very well. Ensenene embuno yezaala kabaka. Gye bakikopa genda babuuze. Kubanga nnyinza okgenda ne nnyonyereza nga luwalala teyali laavu ya Kaweesa. Ebyo ngo byogera mpola mpola. Iye. Naye olw'okuba bakadde ba Kaweesa baali bamanyi kye beetisse ne bamuwa omusajja ow'enseenene okumuwasa. Kati ebyongenda ng'oyimayima nti neddira nseenene biyimbe mpola mpola teekako ne mukalakaasa bakuwulire. Genda babuuze, how did it start? Omanyi nnyumirwa nnyo sauce. Omala okomewo ojja kumbuulira. Bayogera ku kkobe tebamanyi gye liri. Genda obabuuze. Mbawulireyo nga mutudde mu bintu byammwe nze neefa enseko eno ne nga mujja kuba bulungi. Nenyongera neneekweka. Nenyongera nenyigira, oh, the blood of Jesus. Tebandaba. Olowooza lwaki tebandaba? Ngeno neekwese mu lwasi. Rosie weta nedokwe bankweka dda bwe nafuluma eggwanga monitoring spirit n'akaaba n'agamba yayiseewa bannange senene n'egamba yayiseewa saidi ya luwolala erina ey'abakazi senene yayiseewa bafa dda basigala mu spiritual realm n'ejjira mu nsenene. Emanyi okunuma mu November nengana ensenene erina engeri gyefubutukayo omumwa. Ogenda okunoonyereza buli ankwatako n'ankuba bw'ataba na nsenene alina olugave munda. Bw'ataba na lugave alinamu emmamba. Nengamba bannange oba ekkobe nengamba omanyi kane kwefi. Wandindeze nze ntya ebika byammwe mbeere nengamba nedda. Kubanga mulina okunkongojja nina abalina okunnyunga naye maama genda nentwala nga kaguddeyo nengamba nfudde ate bo tebakitegeera kubanga tebajja mu class ate tebabitegeera nnyo. They don't understand the spiritual realm. Kati nze ategedde nenebataasa nenga akasembereyo obwongo bwammwe sibo tebukola nga wange. Ndeka temugenda kunzita nga kyali muto. Prince Otto tugenda kukoma somewhere tofaayo kubanga ati nkuwadde overdose. Tukomaawo kubanga kati eyo session gye nkuwaddeko eyokumaalo sitonaffe tuwaako akatabo nawe olina abantu bewammwe abagenda abroad bagenda kuwuba sifuti. Nkoloza lwaki nagula akata nze mu 2020 time y'omukyala yali egwendeko. Nyawo Mukama yagamba agendako nensirika nengamba kansirike abaneganda bezira Mukama yagambye nengamba ndeka baprofeti bamwe bababuulire sijja basobola. Ku birthday eya 2020 embeera we yatandikira okukyuka. Ate waliwo omuwala black American one yamuvuma nenyimirira weerenga omwalo ono kyagerako takitegeera. Ngenda okulaba ng'aleeta omumwa and I stepped on the side. Ate balimu ebisiyaga ne ngamba Esther omanyi step on the side. Because ono mwala nyinza omulaga kyendi nenviiramu awo. Apaana. Bonna babagoba. Abamu bagenda baagala naye oyo yavuma ono omukazi bamukwata nga bbye ne bamugoba. Yamuvuma ate nandeekaanira. Engamba omanyi. Ng'akaayanya byatamanyi nenga kati nno bano bansi yaleeta bano. Bajjajja baabwe bajja kuno nga basireevu. Kye kibatawaanya. The slave trade mentality, the prisoner mentality ye bali mu mutwe. Abazungu barepinga abasibe. Kati ne tufuna product wano. Nengamba ono mweganga ono. Sirina gafa. Nengamba to omuzungu ono yawamba America. Tetuli bamwagala. Nengamba Esther sirika. Kubanga abantu tebamanyi mazima. omulimu gwabwe kusoma mawulire mu bintu ne basongoza omumwa. Until you come close to someone, you'll know the truth. Naye otuula eri n'ogenda ng'oyongezayo ekiboozi, oyo omuwala abba abasajja, wankutteko. Ate ensobi gye mwakola kitwala mu kkanisa. Ate ne mukozesa abakadde, ekkanisa eyagatta mmange. Eyo ekkanisa gy'olaba, jjajjange yagamba tajja kujja ku mukolo. Jjajjange teyamanya nti omuwala gye baamututte omuwasa, the blood is king siip. Jjajja yagamba tajja, tagenda mu kiwempe. Ekitiibwa kiri Lubaga Cathedral. Jjajja teyamanya nti nno kolabo gye baakoze erimu ekikwafu. Mama was pregnant with me. Assassinate. Nga ndi mu lubuto nkola nti. Because if your father does not approve your marriage, never zukulube, they are not approved. Jjajja teyamanya nti muwala we yeetisse ekikambwe. Jjajja teyamanya nti muwala we yeetisse emmundu ya Mukama. Because mama bw'alokoka tekyakola bulungi nnyo taata we. Okitegedde. Naye engeri gy'otakitegeera. Kankwesonyiwe. Mpate byange. Ndowooza baate overdose. Nina ekintu kye nabadde nsoma eyo n'omuntu wange omu. Nina ekintu nenzirayo. Bwoddayo mu Genesis chapter. Omanyi chapter 29 and verses 15. Verse 14, then Laban said to him, you are my bone and my flesh. And Jacob stayed with him a month. Do you know why he was called a bone and a flesh? Because a man is a bone and a flesh. A woman is a bone and a flesh to the man. And Jacob went to the house of his uncle, a brother to his mother, whereby his mother is a bone and a flesh to Isaac. Because in the Genesis, a woman is a bone and a flesh. It's God that chose Rebekah for Isaac. When God told me to come and teach genealogy, it's because parents had altered God's work. And parents were fighting. Parents were not approving their kids' marriages. Yet some of these kids, God allowed them to meet because they have a work for nations, for God. But parents have terminated God's work when they stand in the way to say you can't marry so and so. The only person you can stop marrying your daughter is a man whose clan is your clan as a father. But now, for us, we've grown up, everyone knowing that ensenene jetweddira nedda mukwana. Because God did not want. For us, we don't choose our spouses. God chooses for us. All the times I've chosen, I've been a loser. My dad's wife was chosen by God. Because his own mother, his grandmother chose Jaja Sarah to be my dad's mother. When God saw that, and my dad has given his life to Christ, he did it because the kings, they choose for them a wife. People did not get to know the truth, and mothers or women fight, and they don't tell their own children the truth, and us, the grandchildren, suffer the consequences. When a man has more than one wife or one mother to his children, witchcraft is going to crawl in, jealousy is going to crawl in, and the grandchildren are going to suffer. Because if the mother, the wife of the covenant, does not agree with it, destruction is going to come in the children's lives. Yet the children are a quiver. God uses children in the arrow. Children are arrows. So God saw that, because in Kalibala's house, my dad was chosen by God through his grandmother, who chose Sarah Nareiso for Kalibala Martin. Kalibala never went to vibe Sarah on his own. He did it for his mother. And his mother said, Tova yonga tomulina. Unfortunately, they did not annul the wedding. He could afford. Jaja gave excuses. Yamugamba nja kutwala e Bulaaya mwana. Jaja n'agamba nze ataasoma lwaki ontwala. But remember, she was someone's wife who is not divorced. But the man brought her back and said he does not want her to die in his house. That is the truth. No one got to know, apart from Kabeja and Sarah, who kept quiet and never told anyone. But Kabeja told someone who would speak the truth, and we are set free. So we have been in the bondage for years, and God got tired of their bondage because there is hatred in the house. I was asked questions why some of my daddy's siblings hate me so much. You cannot see the hatred, but the hatred comes out in their words. I was told bitter words. The person did not know that they are opening a door they cannot close. Because when you start saying rotten words about Nachimera Solome, Lobwama, I was intrigued to find out why. I needed to understand the dynamics. I'm like, I know all of them were raised by different people, but why? What did Solome do that is so bad? And why was I intrigued? I carry the names from her direct, and I'm the only one who got the names. Nengamba neda, sigenda kwetika chikolimo cha Mugabi. Rodzegara genetic chikolimo. Nengamba neda. Nino kumanya rachinet se chikolimo. Different people asked questions. Everyone who got to see me at my age asked questions, and they were like, what is going on? Kanengamba kale tulingise what happens. Mukama nanjigiriza investigative lifestyle. Because that is the diaspora lifestyle. Because I was tired of the bondage and the prison. And that came because why I have to go through it is because Tata left church when God has not permitted him. If Tata had stayed in church, we wouldn't have seen all of this. Nebina temwandi bitegedde. Naye Tata yadduka mu church. Kakkananga ndugudde munne lunjoki. Naye ngeri nti ebintu biri spiritual tobitegeera sina amaanyi ganyumya naawe. Wakichenga. Buli omu abeere mu nju ye n'abaana be naye making sure nti abaana bo tebafa. Totunula mu ntaana y'abaana bo at this time. Because it is gonna be possible if you don't listen. Omwana wo musindike mu nyegenyege ng'omubise musaayi gwa Yesu. Kubanga Yesu yanyigira nyegenyege. Kati njagala akaana ko kagende mu nyegenyege nga kagenza okusamira n'okweyambula because they don't know what is behind it. They think it's just music. God is not happy with the entertainment industry. It has brought all the rotten things in Uganda, and they think we can approve it. Now let me tell you. Some of the political leaders work for the Diablo. Some work for God. Now all those who are put in those offices to work for God and you decided to work for the Diablo, since I have power over you, let me warn you. I don't think you're coming back in 2026. Make sure you utilize your time well. Because the next in line, they only work for God. Abazadde musabire abaana bammwe nga 16 paka nga 21 bagenda nyegenyeks nga 17 tugenda kubeera ku rest house redeeming families and marriages. Kati you're gonna choose wajja oyagala okubeera. Esawa gye tulimu ya kuchuzinga kubanga job style egenda kubeerawo anytime. Mujja kukiraba. Nuwa mujja kumulaba, Yobu mujja kumulaba, Jona mujja kumulaba on a big level. Nedda Esther. Mukama yagamba Nuwa. Namuwa Rainbow. Tajja kuddamu kutta abantu n'amataba. Kimufuna amataba. Mwayonoona. Kati abali b'ensi ne beekweka mu Rainbow ebakweke. Lwaki Queen we yafudde? Rainbow yazze twice. Tokimanyi. Abaddeyo ekijja nga kigenda bookya. Mukama n'ateeka akabonero ke. Kubanga yakola endagaano. Kubanga the whole world demand floodings. She's not a joker. Kati jja kubayamba mpola mujja kubitegeera. Kasita owulira olutooro amazima gaba gafuluma bufulumu. Florence yali talimba. Nga bw'oba oli mubi oba oli mubi. Bw'oba oli musuma oba oli musuma. Kara hansi kubuulira ekigambo kya Mukama. Okitegedde. That is the challenge of coming from the royal family. Then you enter the royal family and marry there. Kagamba muba mwetadde mu kkomera gutyo ne tubasiiringa. Kati muli siirudi. Teryamanya siiru. Teryamanya siiru ya Mukama. Waliwo ebintu by'omenya. Teryamanya siiru ya Kabaka. Ne bw'ozunga oddamu. Hamani yagamba bamuwe siiru. Akolere Abayudaaya ekitindiro. Teyamanya nti omuwala gwakutteko. Esther gwe yakwatako. Teyamanya nti yali assignment ya Mukama. Tokwatanga ku Esther plan ya Mukama. Don't you ever touch an Esther unless if you know her history. The Baganda goat, the tribe, and other things from the book of Esther. And they flipped things. And not every Esther carries what it takes to be a queen. That's why some of them are giving their children the name Hadassah. Esther was not a name. Esther was a cover-up to hide the anointing. Now check your child called Esther and find out which anointing she carries. Nedda have done mujja kugwa ddalu ssaawa zino temubitegeera. Mwagamba naggwe eddalu. Ate kasita otula mu kirasi y'omwana eyaggwa eddalu. Obujja lugwamu lukwoki. Kati katugende weka muyimbo. Mpozi mwagamba naggwe eddalu. Kale. Weka muyimbo mwanatu. Kanzine mbaviiri. Abasumba ebyokusabire mu bitegedde. Temwebuzaabuza. Ekintu kyatulidde dda. Nze sinze nabatwala mu Bible College. Nze siwalampa bakitange mwoyo. Apaana. Naye bwe nnyambala engatto ya mukadde Zaakayo. Mukama akikoze neera. Akikoze Katonda. nalinga saganga mugamba tyoba luli balutya nasuzentya tyalyata omumbeja gwatutwala leero yasuzatya omwana w'abalungi nze kalala nga 17 tugenda kubeera na Apostle Bunjo ku rest house katugende bibategeze byonna amule Sebutemba alimu amaanyi olina okuzaala kati gwe muzanyiremu ng'ogoberera by'otategeera tina crusade ekiteetikka oli princess kansabire nti oli pure waliwo eyaŋŋamba n'oŋŋamba naye bano baggayi tebali serious ekintu ekiriro ligino tebakimanyi I have family members abansanyuseeyo neŋŋamba tobonaabona n'abantu tubaleke Kalamoja cry still on nga 17 September announce again redeeming families aye nga 24 September tulyoke tugende ekiteetika evangelist ama mukumbeeze enkola bya mukama ava ku bano nze sikyanoonya femu nze sefemu simumanyi gyabeera kiteetika we are coming evangelist nsuubira bapoosa okusigala nga basabira Pastor Robert nsuubira obuweereza obutaano bwonna ogenda wali and redeem the time mukama yagala kuleeta revival gye yasuubiza gye yagamba omukulu Benhin naye mukyalemeddeko mukola byammwe mukole yawo that revival is not sprouting from a church the revival started already in people's bodies. They're all pregnant, but you know why it's not coming out? The 6 men have refused to do what God is saying. The revival is not coming from your church. The revival in Uganda is to hit the entire world the way you see coronavirus. Naye engeri nti mwebagezi mubatulabira kale bannange Yesu abankuumire Yesu abanjagalire Yesu abeere wamu nammwe tulina gundi tina tuddeyo tulina ki tulina kampu y'abaana ne Pastor Mark tujikebere kampu y'abaana kampu eriyo December nze nkuwa ba seasonal men ebisigadde sibirimu nebivaamu dda nga munsembya munteeka mu kyalo munveeko. We have a camp ages 12 and 20. Do you know why? You don't know. Omwana myaka 12 aba Yesu ng'asomesa kigambo naye obwana bwammwe sitaani abukwatako n'alyoka akakwatako akagenda tuuka 12 akaga muzeeyi abadde agamba ki muzeeyi ogamba ki 12 nga bufunisa abaana embuto kyokka parents muzeeyi atugamba ki muzeeyi abadde agamba ki Pastor Mark mukama yamuyitamu eyo area watoto yazaala Pastor Mark mu mwoyo Pastor Mark yasomera King's College Buddo. N'awasa omukyala nga Esther ina link n'omukyala. In an amazing way. Zesala aba mafumbe ate mala n'engenda eri. Bakisaka bengo ne batuzalira abaana. Oh. Buli musajja ali ku ttiimu mulina kakakwata in an amazing way. Bwatyo Katonda bw'akola ng'azimba ttiimu. Pastor Tom tuli mukusiiba. Mukama yamuyita to train an army for the last days. Nakuweereza akatabo ka Dr. Mulinde. Are you Ugandan? You want to operate in Uganda? I sent you the book. How to get it. Raziranga wetane. Bwechikuba Uganda. Kasitobanga you carry the Ugandan blood. Oba wasa muzungu, oba wasa muyindi, oba wasa wa pinky, oba wa yellow. On condition you carry a Ugandan blood. Kigenda kulyo kitegere. Yesu abanjagalire. Yesu abankumire. Enjoy your weekend with your family members. I've also gone to enjoy the weekend alone with the Holy Ghost. Boyana, boyana, donya, yes, yes, orazoretanyo. Oyo mwene kwata mubuli. Nesita nempangula Raziranga wetane Nenyweza nesitia Kuteku razie And be careful, parents who come from a grandmother who has children from more than one man. Stop separating the kids, the grandchildren of that woman. That is a very wrong thing. Parents and your father had more than one woman. Careful when you're separating the grandkids of your father. You cannot touch the grandkids. Fewe tuzingako wetuti. Tujja kuyuza abakitaffe ne basenga abaffe. We cannot side with you when you're fighting amongst yourselves. I am a game changer. Bwe nkwate wa Nareiso mbateeka kasowaani bonna. Bwe nkwate wa Kalibala bonna mbateeka kasowaani. Sirumba basenga abange ne bakitange. No. Nze noonya gali amafumu. Yesu gagenda okukozesa. Time yammwe yaggwako. Time yaffe. Kati if you carry Kalibala's blood, kagobako. Ekinfulumya ennyumba ya Kalibala. Nakimera. Kati bwe njifuluma, nkwata luwalala yenna. Bwe mala okwata luwalala, ne nkwata Uganda. That is the joy of carrying the blood. It is a bloody issue. You can't drain it out. Kubanga blood namusiringa ne Holy Ghost. Twateekamu the blood of Jesus. Kyekyenfulumya bakwano eri abantu abagamba oyo mwana obuyinza abujjawa. Mbujja mu Bayibuli. bw'oba naawe okisobola come over. Amanyi mweragaalagayo ne mutiisatiisa bakitammwe mwoyo ne mbatunuulira wenti. Kati bano abatali balokole ne balyoka batutiisatiisa n'ebintu byabwe ne nga mukwano. Tiisatiisa. Pola. Mbw'olina omusayi gwa blood gwamulangira mu mbejja. Tiisatiisa mpola mukwano. Omuntu kasaba muteeka kuba bamutaddeko. Nze nasala eddiiro sobola kubeera ku side yo ng'oyagala abantu baffe. Nedda. Nze sobola ku side yo ng'osanyuka nnyo ng'abantu bafudde. That is not my person. I don't join such groups. Ezo z'abahuliganizi. Kitegete. Ezo side zammwe z'abahuliganizi oba oyina history oba tomulina. I don't join such clubs. Omanyi lwaki tondaba? Oba oyagala mutebyafe, sigala mu koonaayo. Because ekintu bakitwala temukyakikyusa. Mumuleke abeereko. Bw'onoofuna ofuna opportunity okiifuna nga tukikuwa. Ye landiroodi. Yes, yes. Because Uganda doesn't belong to you. Abakola obutukirivu. Nga naze mu Buganda bonna bajja kudduka kubanga tebandabangako. Nenda obuuze Kabaka Mutebi batamanyi Kalibbala. Kasubi yejja olamula sikyo? Kubanga abasinga babitegeera baafa. Ababimanyi batono. Ate abamanyi the big thing behind it batono. Ne bw'onooba binoonya ebyo by'omugamba mbu nno simanya bajjajjammwe bajja bagamba eno tebajja bagamba byange. To sealing with the blood of Jesus. Mugende babasalire endiga. Mugende. Tulabe. Musayi kyogunaasinga. That's why you can't see me. I am under the blood of the King of Kings, and you say you work for him, right? Ani mkamao. Omukama wange akuli waggulu. Lwaki ngende ewuwo boss gyali? Kaninye waggulu. If you're denying me access to see Pastor Robert. Kanumbe yamusa ku ntebe. You're denying me access to who? To Apostle Bunjo. Kanumba. Oyo muteko ku ntebe. Nyabo. Ejiji lyali yulika. You're denying me access to who? To Archbishop Duncan Williams. Atoyo kati Archbishop. Tata wange. Ba Bishop, tata wange ali waggulu. Lwaki ngenda okubonaabona? Ate munange Archbishop ansabire. Lwaki enfuluma Uganda nga power mulina mu nju mwenva? Tunanya ba Bishop. 46 years in service. 66 years twawangudde. Waliwo ebintu bye sireekaana. You're denying me access to who? To Apostle Alex Mitala. Nga numba mukama we. Hey, wabibera. You're denying me access to Dr. Mlinde. Rankasi? Good. Nga ngamba kale anti rankasi. Ate gwe toyina ky'omanyi. Oyisa buli ky'osanga amaaso. Nga ndyoka nkumba ngamba yitako. Nga munsangayo. Nga nsimbye ino gamba kanako kayiseewo katya. Ne Dr. Mulinde kamuyiseeko. Bosi wa Dr. Mulinde yampa Dr. Mulinde mukwike mu biwowootiro muleme kumukwatako. Yampa Pastor Robert ne muteeka mu biwowootiro toyina gy'omutwala. Permission omanyi olunaku lwe baagitowa. Kasita Angel Mulinde yeteeka mu ddene. Nakkiriza Jeremiah Musoke kintu omuwasa. Nenfuna interest nga toyina wonjo kungamba stop. Abaana bamwe bagenda ne bafumbirwa. Mwampa access for free. Kasita Jeremiah Kintu Musoke married Angel Mulinde. Ne bakola collabo webati. Ne mulyoka mututeeka mu kintu ne mutusiringa. Nga sikyetaaga kusaba access. Mpita obuusi. Taata wo gwakola naye collabo. Muwede. You denying me access to see Pastor Tom? Mugamba akunyumiza gye yasanga Zaakayo. Ne Zaakayo kyakoze mu bulamu bwe n'abaana be. N'obwa mukyala we. If pastors speak the truth, ask each one of them what my father's done in their lives with their children. Have a blessed day. Have a lovely day. Let's learn to respect people, however tiny they look, because you're going to throw out the only key that can open for you. I love you all. May the Lord bless you. Help your own families. Go to the next level. Stop the group lifestyle. It's going to destroy you, and no one is going to take care of your own children. Bye-bye. Ekisa kya Mukama waffe Yesu Kristo. N'okwagala kwa Katonda. N'okussa ekimu eky'omwoyo omutukuvu. Bibeere naffe ffenna. N'abooluganda bonna. Emirembe egitaggwaawo. Amiina. Bye-bye.